Hey there, welcome to another episode of Two Lads Garage. On today's episode we'll be working on this 2003 GMC Sierra. It's a two-wheel drive extended cab model. And 6 months ago this truck was just an abandoned farm truck. It belonged to my father-in-law. And my wife and I, we've been riding around for years in my Dodge pickup wherever we need a truck. And Dodge pickup has been a great truck. Been really good to me. I've had 14 years. Never really had any serious trouble out of it. The only problem I ever really had was the fact that it's a regular cab and Two Lads Garage, riding around with two lads, and you know, not exactly a small person, and my wife riding with me, and two large dogs and two adults riding in the cab of regular cab pickup just wasn't really working out the best. So anyway, our in-laws decided we could have this old abandoned farm truck, and I got it back running, and really it's been a great truck for us. Really enjoyed it. We just got back from vacation with it, did everything we wanted, got exceptionally great fuel mileage, especially after I put this cover on it. But nonetheless, the only real complaint we have is the shocks are absolute garbage on it. The truck's 18 years old, got almost 200,000 miles on it, and despite how good it runs and all, it just, you go over a bump and you know it, and it will shake your teeth loose. So anyway, I got 4 brand new shocks for it. I chose these Monroes, and the reason I chose the Monroes is, well, I figured any good shock's better than a worn out shock. And also my dad retired from the parent company of Monroe, so I have a little bit of loyalty to him. But really, I'm good with any shock. If anybody wants to sponsor me some shocks, I'll gladly take them. Anyway, take y'all on a quick walk around this truck. Like I said, 6 months ago, abandoned farm truck. So we got some scrapes and some dents. And my father-in-law, his vision started to go, and he quit driving, and so we got a few extra dents on that. But nonetheless, for everything, I can't complain. It's a very comfortable truck. Inside's very clean. Couldn't run any better. Got a little bit of a large dent there, but like I said, his vision going is what caused that. And we talked about fixing this truck up and repainting it, but you know, that's part of the charm of this truck, is some of the battle scars she has, like the bumper pushed in, the dent in the door, the dents on it, and it doesn't look too bad. So we decided we're pretty much going to keep it on the outside looking like it does, just clean it up, take care of it. But we're going to get these shocks on it so we have a little more comfortable ride. So anyway, got my jack out, my jack stands, 4 new shocks, a Harbor Freight electric impact that's on its last leg. But I've had that thing 10 years. It's been very good to me. I'm sure it'll make another job. Set of impact sockets. Get under there, I'll figure out what size opening wrench I need, because we're going to need one of them to hold the back side of the bolt, but I'm going to wait till I crawl under there to figure out what size. So anyway, bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing up on jack stands, and I'll get you under the back in just a few minutes. Alright, so we've gotten up under the truck now, and what we have here, turns out it's a 13/16. So we got our opening on this side, got my impact on this side. And one thing that I encourage on this channel is not to be afraid to work on your own stuff. I've changed in my lifetime exactly 0 sets of shocks, never even changed a single shock, so this is a first for me, and I'm willing to put myself on blast on YouTube, possibly making a fool out of myself. But anyway, we're going to change the shocks on this, and I'm going to go ahead and start backing the bolts off. After I plug myself in. And evidently, I must not be plugged in. Just bear with me. Yes, I actually come unplugged inside the garage and had no power, so we're going to give this another try. Oh, there comes the bolt. And from the looks of things, these probably are the original shocks. See how much load's on that thing. Oh no, it's got blue paint on it, so it's probably Monroe. Anyway, regardless of whether it's original or not, this thing is well past its prime, so we're going to go ahead and change on it. Okay, so we're back and we're actually on the driver's side this time. I decided to go ahead and finish up on the passenger side by myself. And the reason I did that was just because of, with the exhaust and a few other items, access in there was pretty cluttered and it was very difficult for me to see. And I can't imagine how I would have gotten the camera on it to share with y'all. And so I just decided that I'd go ahead and do that one and I'd bring y'all back on the passenger side. So anyway, the passenger side, all you need to do for good access is drop the spare tire. And you got all this room here. I do think it's going to be pretty difficult, however, to get the impact up there, so I'm going to use a brake bar just to bust it loose. And it's probably overkill, especially this big thing. But anyway, I'm going to bust it loose with the brake bar, and then I'm going to pull it the rest of the way with a socket wrench. Also, a little lesson learned from the other side. I went ahead and, while I was doing the bottom part, getting it loose, I sprayed some lubricant on the top. So hopefully this will come off a little easier. I got the brake bar to get everything started. So now, I'm just going to go up here with my socket wrench. Hopefully it'll be smooth sailing from here. I really don't need this extension anymore since I don't have the exhausting to contend with, so that might help me a little bit. Come on. There you go. Just be patient with it. And I also did confirm when I did the passenger side that these are not the original shocks. These are indeed some Monroes. When the fellow did my Dodge a little over a year ago, it was riding much the same way this one is. And those shocks had the Chrysler Pentastar on them. So undoubtedly those were originals. So I came under here, I saw these rusty things. And judging by the ride, I kind of thought they might be the original, but once I got everything taken apart and looked closely, I saw Tenneco stamped in it, which is Monroe's parent company. So really I'm replacing it with the same thing I got. So anyway, I used Monroe's on my Dodge. I was happy with them. I'm sure I'll be happy with these as well. And come loose, come on. Come on, you little stubborn. Yeah, alright, there we go. So anyway, okay, here's what we got. These shocks have seen their better days, but that's alright. We're getting ready to replace them with this. So there you go. Some new Monroes. They look like they may be a different line. Maybe they've done some design changes over the years or something, but nonetheless, got one of these on the passenger side, getting ready to put one on the driver's. It's a good idea to leave this plastic on here. Keeps it from expanding too much on you, so in a minute, join me back underneath. Alright, so we're back up underneath the 2003 GMC. Getting ready to reinstall the driver's side rear shock absorber. So here's the shock. Get the right side up. Just slide it up into the bracket, bolt through. Find your nut. On the back side here, sometimes these can be a little tricky to get to. This one's not too bad. Maybe I spoke too soon. Nah, I'm just getting a little impatient, that's all. And putting that lubricant on the bolt has really helped because I'm able to finger tighten it most of the way down. Just ate a little dirt. Try not to do that, but it's kind of inevitable when you work on stuff like this. Take an opening wrench and figure out where I put my blasted socket. There it is. Got some more dirt in my face. Set the wrench to tighten. Righty tighty. And doing this, I find it from the other one, you just want to get it snug for the time being. If you ever tighten it, it's going to make it hard to get the upper end into the bracket on the axle. So you're not trying to get it all the way. You don't want to use all your ooga-doogas just yet. Just get it snug. Like that. Too many ooga-doogas, let me take one out. Alright, so now I got good range of a shock. So anyway, these retention bands, they're supposed to get you right on where it goes, keep the shock compressed for you. But it's like everything else, it's a one-size-fits-all. It doesn't fit all. And on this, I had the same issue on the other side. It just wouldn't come quite long enough. But I was able to work with it there, so I'm sure that I'll be able to work with it here. So I'm going to take this big, huge pair of snips and go ahead and cut this band. Just try to hold it. And reach around and get this bolt. And as it comes through, just slide the bolt through there. Now it's in. All we gotta do, after I find this nut right here, is tighten her up. wrong wrench. There we go. Put this on there. And you can put it in and use a socket wrench. You don't need this impact. But I have the impact. It fits. And I want to use it. Alright, so that's stuck on there. We'll get that in a minute. For the top, just because of my close clearances, I'm going to use the socket wrench. Complete. So anyway, like I was saying before, don't be afraid to work on. This is only the second shock I've ever installed. I use pretty basic tools, and I could say honestly it went pretty smoothly. So probably saved myself, I don't know how much, $100 easy on shop fees by doing it myself. It's not a hard job. Just didn't take me very long either. Just took a little bit of determination and some belief in myself that I could do this, and yeah, we got it. I just gotta get the stupid socket off. All honesty, these are probably metric bolts. I'm using standard American units on it. So anyway, let me get this stuck on something off. I have to go get me. Get off! I have to go get a hammer and whack it off. But anyway, got the back done. I'm going to take it off the jack, and I'll see y'all in a little bit on the front. Alright, so welcome back to the front of the GMC. I've gone ahead and taken the liberty of removing the tire, putting it up on the jack, and I do have a jack stand under there for safety reasons. And gone ahead and looked at it for a minute. The first thing I did was double check and make sure that this is not actually a strut. It's just a shock, but it's inside the spring. If you're working on your vehicle and you're new at this and you find that you have a strut, my personal advice is to save money on a different job and take it to a professional shop. They have machines and tools that just aren't available to the everyday shade tree mechanic. They make a tool that you can get at most parts stores or Harbor Freight or somewhere like that. They'll help compress the spring to remove the shock, but those things are extremely dangerous. And if that spring were to come dislodged from one of those compressors, which is been known to happen relatively frequently, they could seriously injure or kill you. So I highly recommend it. If you find you have a strut, just walk away, pay somebody to do it. It's worth it. And I do recommend working on vehicles yourself, but there's also times just to know your limitations, and I'd say a strut is one of those. Nonetheless, this is a shock, so this is something I can do. And under here, you've got two bolts that hold the rod in that runs through the middle. Then up on top, you've got another bolt that goes through there. And looking at it, I found the best way to get to it on this one is actually to open the hood. I've got a 5/8 extra deep well socket on there for a long extension, and that's how we're going to get the top off. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and get the bottom. For that, because of the close clearances, I'm going to use this deep well Craftsman socket wrench, 1/2-inch bolt. So let's see if I can get you set up here. See how I can get y'all following along. coming off pretty nicely, actually. Because I think there may be a little bit of a load on this. I'm going to go from one side to the other, kind of work it off evenly. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of load on it. Nah, there's not. If you start backing these off and you find that you're carrying a lot of load, stop. You may want to consider just putting them back in and taking it somewhere, because like I said, if these things blow their load all at one time, there's pretty good risk of injury, and we don't want that to happen. It's not worth the money you'd save, so anytime that you think safety is a concern, that's when it's best to just walk away. Know your limitations. Alright, so we got that undone. So I'm going to go up top and get that one out. See if I can find a spot to set this up. Alright. Okay, so I had a little issue of when I was loosening it earlier, the whole shock was spinning. So I took a little bit of a break, try to figure out how to rectify that situation. And ended up looking at the new shock to see how that was put together, and also what hardware it came with. Turns out there's a little hex area on the very top of the shock that I didn't see earlier. And I tried various wrenches, and just because of the close clearances, I couldn't get anything on it. So I did the right thing and just slopped down a pair of vice grips on the shock, and it's gotten caught in the spring, which isn't a bad thing, because now it's allowing me to actually loosen this bolt. And I think we got it. Had the trick with the vice grips not work. My next trick was the Sawzall. Well, I'm glad we didn't have to resort to that. So anyway, we got the top unbolted, we think. And we got the bottom unbolted, we think. Now, the shock is on the side of the truck. So what I'm going to have to do, since the jack stand is holding the weight of the truck, I think we're going to have to put a jack right there and lift up on this lower control arm so I can get the old shock out and the new shock in. There we go. And the new shock is in the hole. Now I'm going to use one of these old bolts just for the time being, just to stick the shock up in there and hold it in place for me while I get everything situated. Come on out. What are you? I might need that. Anyway. And with that held in place, I'm going to take a look at what new hardware came with it. Bring y'all along with me to my workbench. Please excuse the mess. It looks like we came with 2 bushings, some washers, and the new nuts. So I'm going to have to reuse those bolts on the bottom, which is no big deal. Good thing I saved them. But we'll get this all straightened out and figure out how, I'll figure out how it goes in there. Alright, so I went to my parts that came with the shocks. And I'll show you, this is actually the passenger shock. But this bushing comes with it. This goes below where the top end bolt screw. There's another bushing just like it that comes in the opposite direction. But yeah. Anyway, I've already gone ahead and done it on this one, so I'm just going to finish tightening it up on the bottom, and we're going to move top side. Sorry about that. I'm trying to figure out where I put my wrench. Ah, great. Right up here on top side. Anyway, just finish tightening these up. Alright, so bottom's tight. And again, I'm going to have to lift up the lower control arm to get the top end of the shock where it needs to go. See if I got you all in good. I hope that's good. And I'll put the top bushings in. And start my nut. Start getting a little tension, send my extension down. and switch to my ratchet. No, I do believe they may have given me a different size nuts. I may have to change to probably a 9/16. So anyway, that's how it's done. I'm just going to have to change to a smaller socket, but that's not a big deal. So anyway, passenger side should be more of the same. The angle that the sun's at, if I try to shave at, it's going to give you nothing but glare, but you've seen one side, you've seen them both. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Two Labs Garage, getting the shocks changed on this 2003 GMC Sierra. I'm hoping maybe I can go test on it a little bit this afternoon, find a bumpy road, and drive this thing down and see if it rides any better, handles any better. I'm sure it will, because those shocks, especially when I pulled off the front, that thing is done. So anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. Go ahead and if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe so you won't miss any new content. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Two Labs Garage. Till next time, have a good one.